Hey you, yeah, I'm talking to you. I just wanted to let you know that everything's gonna be okay. Because it's time for my Champions League round of 16 predictions. Let's go! Oh no! What happened? My PSG skateboard, are you okay, buddy? And yes, I sit on a blue ball if you didn't know that already. And yes, I know some real immature jokes have popped into your head because you're really immature, but it's supposed to be better for my posture. So get off my back, which is already feeling better because of this blue ball. Fact, true story. Anyway, let's get into these really tasty matchups for the beginning of the knockout rounds by starting with Juventus versus Tottenham, which from a Tottenham perspective has to be a punch in the guts because you guys worked so hard to not get third to qualify for the Europa League again. And then you win your group, which included the defending champions Real Madrid, and then you drew, when the hand went into the warm balls, the defending finalists, if you can call them defending finalists, Juventus, while Manchester City, who had less points and a worse goal differential in the group stage, pulled Basel, which proves that life isn't fair sometimes. But here are two things that Spurs need to do to beat Juventus. One, you gotta dedicate all of your energy and focus on this competition, sort of like Manchester United last season in the Europa League, because it's clear winning the Premier League is over. And two, you gotta find a way to make sure that Christian Eriksen has his best games of the season, because when he's on, it opens up space for Harry Kane and Sonaldo and Dele Alli to do their thing and be on the receiving end of some great passes from him. But when he's a non-factor, it just allows teams to dedicate more bodies on those other guys that I mentioned, which ends up making Spurs' attack seem pretty predictable. And for Juve, here are their two things. One, just do what Italian clubs do. Play tough, stifling defense by breaking up the rhythm of Spurs' best players, thus making their attack very predictable, like I just mentioned. And then hit them on the counter with the very talented Paulo Dybala, John Square, also known as Juan Cuadrado, Mario Mandzukic, and Gonzalo Higuain. And then two, do it for Gigi Buffon, because he says he's going to retire at the end of the season, so this is his last chance to win the Champions League trophy. And because of this sentiment and because of my love for the greatest of all time, and I'm not talking about Danny Rose, who probably thinks he's the greatest of all time, and because I think Juve is the better team, I believe that Juve is going to win this 3-2 over two legs. And next up, it's FC Basel versus Manchester City, which is easily the most lopsided matchup of the knockout rounds because City are easily the overwhelming favorites, and rightly so. They've lost just one game this season, though that could change by the time these games kick off in February. But that loss only happened because they rested a lot of starters against Shakhtar Donetsk, so I don't even know if you can count it. It's more like a half loss. But nothing is guaranteed in life, so let's talk about the two things that Basel needs to do to win this two-legged affair. One, for whatever reason, Basel has done very, very well against English opposition at home, so that trend needs to continue. And two, pray for a miracle. Maybe Andrea Pirlo can come down and help you. And here's what City needs to do to win this game. One, just show up. And two, okay, fine, they have to do more than just show up. They need to show up and play to, let's say, 75% of their potential. But since 75% of their potential and effort is never gonna be allowed by any manager, let alone their perfectionist boss Pep Guardiola, I fear Basel could be suffering a very serious beating in this one. I mean, they could possibly call the cops, because this could end up being borderline abuse. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down, I feel like City's gonna win this one and win it big, 6-1 over two legs. And next up, it's FC Porto versus Liverpool. And now for some fun facts for you. Fun facts for you right at the top. These two teams have faced each other 4 times in their history. And Liverpool have lost 0 of those 4 games. But as I say time and time again, you cannot sleep on Portuguese clubs in European competitions. And honestly, I don't get the feeling that Liverpool will sleep on them, but you just never know what Liverpool team is going to show up. Even in the same game, like they were nearly perfect in the first half versus Sevilla in the group stages. You guys remember that game down in Spain when they went up 3-0? Only to be incredibly poor in the second half to draw 3-3. So here are the two things the Reds need to do to win this matchup. One, play some goddamn defense, both collectively and individually. So if Porto somehow breaks the Gegen pressing or whatever it's called that Jurgen Klopp loves his teams to play, don't let it lead to goals. So in short, make the plays that you need to make to win this game, and And this includes not losing concentration on set pieces. I've seen you guys do that plenty of times. I was gonna say on occasion, but actually more like plenty of times. And 2, make sure you score 4 goals in each game just to make sure you have cover for your unreliable defenders and goalkeeper. And as for Porto, here are the 2 things that I have for you. 1, give the ball to Vincent Aboubakar, who must have had the biggest smile on his face after the draw, given Liverpool's habit of leaking goals, because he scored 5 goals in 5 games in the group stages, and he already has 20 goals in all competitions this season, so the big man is definitely feeling it. And 2, start Iker Casillas in goal instead of CSKA, because even though CSKA has done well this season, Casillas' experience, like Gigi Buffon's, cannot be replicated. And like Gigi Buffon again, this could be Casillas' last ever dance in the Champions League, so I think he'll be up for it. Or he'll leak a ton of goals due to the frustration of Liverpool scoring so many because Liverpool's attacking players are ridiculous. But maybe he won't, since Porto have lost only 2 games all season and none in the league, so it's clear they have that something special about them this year. However, and with all due respect to the Portuguese league, it is not the Premier League. And they gave up 10 goals in 6 group stage games to Besiktas, RB Leipzig, and Monaco. And if I'm being honest, or at least in my humble opinion, Liverpool was better going forward than any of those teams. So I think the Reds are gonna do it 5-3 over 2 legs. And now we have one of the best matchups of this round, Real Madrid versus PSG. Because it's the history-making, back-to-back defending champions that have shown in the past that they will spend whatever it takes to win this trophy, versus the team that has never won this competition but will spend even more than whatever it takes to capture their first one, highlighted by them signing Neymar and Kylian Mbappe over this past summer. And honestly, I love it. It's old money versus new money. So the 2 things that Paris Saint-Germain have to do to win this are: 1, learn from the past. After losing a 4-0 lead to Barcelona at the Camp Nou last season, this core of players got a taste of both sides of the emotional spectrum. On one side, they got the pride and satisfaction that comes from kicking Barcelona's ass at home 4-0 in leg 1, so they proved in that game that they could run with anybody in the whole entire world. But they also learned after falling apart in leg 2 that there are no guarantees no matter how big the lead is, and that you need to have the discipline and mental fortitude to close out a 2-legged affair against a talented opponent. And 2, they need to have the right attitude, because as the immortal nature boy Ric Flair once famously said, if you want to be the man, you've got to beat the man. And right now, Real Madrid is the man. So if PSG approach this game in the right way and with a positive, we have nothing to lose frame of mind, they have the talent to beat anyone. And this year, I think they know it. And as for Madrid, here's what's what. 1, they need to lean on their experience. They've done this before, they're proven winners, and now it's a matter of staying motivated, which really shouldn't be a problem because I'm not sure I've seen a team hungrier for trophies than this collection of players. I mean, they don't want to share the spoils with anyone. They are greedy bastards. And 2, they need to dream big, because after winning back-to-back Champions League trophies, they made history. But if they win it again for the 3rd straight year, they will become immortal. And I think we all know which player on Madrid wants to become immortal. So I expect him to score big goals in the biggest of games like he always does. And these 2 games against PSG are going to be huge. However, there's a player on PSG who came to the club solely, in my opinion, to step out of the shadow of Messi and Ronaldo, and I think he knows that this is his moment to dethrone those 2 as the best player in the world. But for that to happen, he has to beat them, and I think this is step 1 in that actually happening, because this Madrid side, though incredibly talented, is going to finally run out of luck, and I believe Neymar is going to be the biggest reason why. So I see PSG winning this, and it'll be close, 4-3 over 2 legs. And now let's talk a little Bayern Munich versus Besiktas. Because let's be honest, Super Bayern got super lucky with this draw. They finished 2nd in their group to PSG, and PSG drew the reigning best club in the world, which is confirmed by Real Madrid winning the FIFA Club World Cup last week, while Bayern drew the reigning Turkish Super League champions, which, with all due respect to Besiktas and the Turkish Super League, isn't even close to the same competition, and I don't care if Pepe plays for Besiktas now. So here are the 2 things that Bayern has to do to win this matchup. 1, fire Carlo Ancelotti and hire the last guy that won them their last Champions League trophy, because Ancelotti just doesn't seem like a very good fit for them. Wait, what was that? They already did that? That is great news! they're already halfway there to winning this. And 2, play Manuel Neuer in goal because he's going to be healthy at this point, and you know he's going to be on fire because his competition for being Germany's #1 at the World Cup this upcoming summer is Mark ter Stegen. And ter Stegen has been another level this season for Barcelona, so Neuer has some work to do to catch him. As for Besiktas, well, 1, keep doing what they're doing. And I mean that from a European competition perspective because they went undefeated to win a tough group and not their current league form where they currently sit in 4th. And 2, get the ball to Talisca and Ryan Babel because these 3 came through in the group stages, combining for 10 of the team's 11 goals, while in the Turkish league, they've combined for 18 of the team's 28 goals. So let's just say, attacking-wise, everything revolves around this trio. But come on, let's be honest. If your club has to rely on Ryan Babel to score goals, how good of a club can you really be? If you like that, jokes are fun. But seriously, Bayern has way too much firepower and talent to get beat over 180 minutes. Maybe in a one-off game, and if that game was in Turkey, I would give Besiktas a chance, but not over 2 games. So for me, Bayern's gonna take this 3-1. And now we head to the other giant matchup in the group stages, Chelsea and Barcelona, which, let's be honest, is one of the Champions League's fiercest rivalries of the modern era, which started back in 2005 when Jose Mourinho and Frank Rijkaard were in charge of the clubs respectively. And since then, we've seen 2 referees resign from their jobs due to death threats from the calls they made in this fixture, and a truckload of red cards, and even Leo Messi confessing that there were Chelsea players more hated at Barcelona than Real Madrid players, which is, wow, that's quite a statement. So let's start with what the Blues need to do to win this. 1, be physical. Because the one thing that Barcelona has always found frustrating when facing your club, and I'm speaking to you, Antonio Conte, and your players, is your physicality, especially in midfield and defense. So do not shy away from it now. Embrace it. Play a little dirty even. And 2, simply Eden Hazard. Because on his day, the Belgian superstar can destroy just about any defense in the world. And because you know I'm not that high on this Barca back 4 who have given up a lot of chances this season, but thankfully for them, not a lot of goals, either to Luck or ter Stegen or both, I think Hazard could be the difference maker. However, Barcelona have a few difference makers as well, and I think you know who they are. So let's talk about the 2 things that they need to do to win this matchup. And the first one is continue to play great defense. Yes, I know I just said I'm not keen on their back 4, and I'm kind of not. But the stats back them up, and I cannot refute the stats. They have the best defense in La Liga, giving up only 7 goals all season, and they only gave up 1 goal in 6 group stage games, so they're clearly doing something right. And 2, it's going to be based on the form or luck of Leo Messi, because he has surprisingly never scored in his 8 games against Chelsea, which includes missing a penalty in 2012, which is his worst scoring record against any team he's ever faced, which actually looks even worse in some ways, since in the other 16 games he's played against English opponents, he has scored 17 goals. So in summation, I guess you could make a pretty solid argument as to why each team could win, but for me, there's only one team that will win, and that's Barcelona. Messi seems to be on a personal quest to break the deadlock that he now shares with Cristiano for the most Ballon d'Ors ever, and I think he wants to prove that Barcelona is better without Neymar, and he finally scored against Gigi Buffon after so many years of never being able to do so, and I think because he's breaking all these other records and seems super motivated, he's gonna finally score against Chelsea too. So I think the final tally after 2 legs is gonna be 5-3 to Barcelona. And in my second to last matchup, it's Sevilla versus Manchester United, which is the Europa League derby between the last 2 champions of that competition, Sevilla, who absolutely love the Europa League trophy and have shown that many times in the past, versus the club in United, who I think deep down probably think they're above competing for the Europa League. But since they were in it last year, they might as well, I don't know, win it? Because why not? Which they did, of course. So let's start with them first and the 2 things the Red Devils need to do to win this. And first up, stay healthy, specifically Paul Pogba. Because if there was any one player on United's starting 11 that is the legitimate glue on the team who keeps everything together, it's him. And sometimes I don't even think his role as the glue is due to his technical and physical ability. Sometimes, and maybe even more importantly, it's his emotional state. He usually tends to look like he's having fun when he plays, so I believe, similar to Dani Alves, who I think embodies the same type of enthusiasm, it allows the team to relax and have fun. And that's only a good thing when they play in a system that at times seems to stifle their creativity. And 2, take advantage of the home field. advantage. United manager Jose Mourinho is a master of this competition, and because United are hosting leg 2, I can already see leg 1 playing out in my eyes, or in my brain, as he parks the bus and scrapes out a 1-0 win in Spain, and then uses Old Trafford, the theater of dreams, to seal Sevilla's fate. Unless, however, Sevilla can do these two things. 1, shore up their defense. They've given up 31 goals in 22 games combined in La Liga and the Champions League, and frankly, that's not good enough because 2, they're not scoring enough goals to make up for their poor defending. They've scored 31 goals in 22 games combined in La Liga and the Champions League, and doesn't that sound eerily familiar to their defending numbers, which frankly isn't good enough either. So we'll see if they move midfielder Steven Nzonzi in the January transfer window, which I really feel like they should at this point, since his "I want out of here" situation seems to be becoming a distraction for the team. But this will only work if they use that money to sign someone legit up top. But who's available? No one that I think wants to go to Sevilla. So you factor in this issue, coupled with United having better talent and a better and more pragmatic and successful manager, and this is only going one way. United's, and they're gonna win 2-0. And finally, it's the one that I know you've all been waiting for. Shakhtar Donetsk versus Roma, which is probably the hardest matchup to predict because both teams were pretty remarkable in the group stages. Shakhtar beat Manchester City, the only team that has done that all season, and they finished second above the much beloved Napoli team, while for Roma, they topped a group which included Chelsea and Atletico Madrid. So honestly, I have no idea how this one is going to go down, but here are 2 things that Shakhtar should consider to have a great chance. 1, feed the bear known as Chucky, because the 26-year-old striker, also known as Facunda Freya, has been on fire this season, and he currently leads the Ukrainian league with 13 goals. And 2, keep up your form at home, because he beat Feyenoord, Napoli, and Manchester City during the group stages, so if you can bottle up whatever works in front of your supporters and take it on the road with you, you could have a chance to reach the quarterfinals. That is, if Roma lets you, because here are the 2 things that they need to do. 1, unleash the City rejects. And yes, I'm talking about Edin Dzeko and Alexander Kolarov, who have both enjoyed a terrific run of form since joining up with the club. And 2, stay healthy, especially in midfield, because when their midfield trio of Kevin Strootman, Daniel De Rossi, and Raja Nainggolan are 100% fit, they can hold their own against any midfield in the world. So their health is imperative if Roma want to not only win this matchup, but to progress even further. And I think they will. I think Roma is going to do the business, and why I'm so certain is that the Ukrainian league is going on a 2-month winter break, and they're not going to resume play until less than 2 weeks before leg 1 of this matchup. So I don't think Shakhtar Donetsk is going to be as sharp or anywhere close to peak match fitness, and I believe that Roma is going to take full advantage of that and get through 4-2. And holy crap, we finally got to the end, and that was fun. So thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please hit like and subscribe, and of course, let me know who you think is going to win these 8 matchups. And if you get more than me, which I don't think will be possible, you'll be entered to win a Warm Baller starter kit. That's right, a Warm Baller starter kit. So choose wisely. Later.